What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA show. We are back as per usual, Mondays and Fridays, 1:30 p.m. PST. And we are back after a pretty interesting weekend. A lot of stuff happening in the world of combat sports and mixed martial arts and all that good stuff. So we're going to talk about everything that went down, all the big stuff this weekend. On top of that, we'll quickly touch upon the Fusion show that Justin and I commentated for. Hey, Louisa, can you grab Cosmo? He's crying over here. But yeah, we're going to talk about the Fusion show as well, just very briefly. Tehran says, what's up, fellas? What's up, Tehran? How's it going? So Justin and I, if you guys are unfamiliar, on Saturdays, we sometimes commentate for Fusion Fight League. That's a organization in Montana, kind of a, you could say a feeder league to the UFC, regional promotion. Really, really fun. We had a blast. We've been co-commentating, I don't know, like a little over a year now, year and a half almost is coming up on. I did my first show in June of 2024. So we have a blast with it. It was great. And we flew in. Justin flew in Saturday morning. I flew in Friday morning. We did the show Saturday and then came back very early Sunday. But we got to catch at the very end of the night the Diego Lopes fight as well. Diego Lopes versus John Silva. And then as I was going to bed, because I had a super early fight Sunday, I did watch Canelo versus, what's his name, Crawford. I watched it live, and it was kind of cool. So we're going to talk about all of that stuff. Anyways, Justin, let's get into the mix. I want to get right into the mix here with Lopes versus Silva. I thought it was absolutely incredible. I know you made a great breakdown video beforehand, but tell us, what were your thoughts on this fight?
I mean, I don't really have that much to say about it. I mean, if you guys watched the breakdown, he did exactly what I thought he was going to do. He stayed behind his jab. He stayed behind his range. John Silva could not get into range. Here's the thing. John Silva is a little bit shorter. He's an incredible counter fighter, very explosive. When guys start coming in, like I talked about in the breakdown, that's when he's landing his big shots. He's building his confidence. John Silva was trying to sit back and wait for him to come forward, but Diego Lopes was hiding behind his jab. Now, something that John Silva was doing that I didn't anticipate was he was kind of like playing hand grab, and then he'd throw that rear leg teep kick to the face, and he had success with that in the first round, but he wasn't, and every time he landed it, Lopes kind of just smiled and laughed it off, even though, I mean, it looked like a hard strike. Regardless of that, you could see the frustration building from Gene Silva. In the first round, Gene Silva blitzes in. Diego Lopes gets the takedown, ends the round very dominantly on top. Again, this comes off from the frustration, I think, of Gene Silva. He's not landing any shots. He's not having success. He can feel that he's losing the round. So he started to get a little desperate by coming forward a little bit recklessly. That's how he got taken down. You look at the second round, same thing, got a little reckless. And then when he blitzed in on that shot, Diego Lopes threw that beautiful spinning elbow, hit him right in the temple and put him to sleep, man. So I think Diego Lopes had an incredible game plan coming into this, staying rangy, staying behind his punches, working a calf kick. Both guys working the calf kick early on. Now I saw Diego Lopes. I think he was having a lot more success with the calf kick, and John Silva was switching his stance a lot, going back and forth, back and forth. I don't know if it's because of his game plan or if his leg was being compromised from those calf kicks, but he definitely looked affected and he looked frustrated. And I mean, it's just a big step up in competition. I know he was a huge favorite going into this fight. We're talking hype train derailed, but how can you be such a huge favorite going against a guy that just went to decision with Volkanovski? I couldn't see it. And Diego Lopes did exactly what I thought he was going to do.
Okay, I have a couple questions for you. So my first question, well, okay, I'm going to give you both of them, hopefully, and we can go one after the other. So my first question, I might have frozen there. I don't know what's going on with my video. All right, there we go. So the first thing is, you mentioned that that rear teep to the face, and he was basically, Jean Silva threw it multiple times, and he connected at least twice with it. I know for a fact he connected at least twice. One of the things that the Weasel said about him throwing that high teep to the face, he normally doesn't do it, but his theory was that he thinks they wove that into his game plan because of the tick that Diego Lopes has. We saw it against Volkanovski. He kept touching his neck. He just does it. It's a tick. It's a habit. And so his belief was that he was throwing that high teep to catch him when he would go down and bring his hand down to touch his neck as part of that tick. Do you believe that to be the case as well? Or do you just think, hey, that's one of his strikes, that's part of his arsenal?
Well, I mean, I think it's something he added to his arsenal, because when I made the breakdown video, I don't remember a time that where he relied on that kick, because like you said, I'm pretty sure he threw it 3 times. He landed it twice. Again, making the breakdown video, I watched 4 of his fights pretty specifically, and I don't recall him ever going back to the well with that like he did. So I think it's just him trying to add in some tricks. I don't think it had anything to do with the tick. I think that's a stupid take. It's like, oh, it's like when Mike Tyson was biting his glove. Like, you know, it's like when I'm watching, and if he's bringing his hand down to his throat, that's the wrong time to throw the kick anyways, because he has his hand in the way to where. So I think that's a stupid take, and I think the Weasel just is trying to come up with something to talk about because that doesn't really make any sense from a game plan sense. I think it was just a new technique that he was trying to add in. His coach. The coach over at the Fighting Nerds, they're always trying to, be evolutionary with the sport. And I think this was just something they were trying to add into Silva's arsenal. Because again, when you haven't, here's the thing. You look at and I compare it to myself because I have a lot of experience. Look at my last MMA fight when I fought that guy from One Kickboxing where I got knocked out. And all the fights that I watched leading up, which was essentially almost all of them getting ready in preparation, he never threw a spinning back heel kick. Never, not once.
Right.
And I get in the fight with him. He goes to spin. I thought he was going spinning body kick, and then he brought it up top. I never was able to prepare for that because I never had seen it. Now you look at John Silva. I never see him through the rear leg teep kick in his fights prior. I'm not saying he never did it, but he didn't have a tendency to do it. When I say tendency, I mean he wasn't consistently doing it. Maybe there was once or twice that I missed, but he threw it 3 times in one round, which in my mind says, okay, this is a new tendency he has specifically for Diego Lopes. And I think he just was trying to catch Diego Lopes off the gate because, again, Diego Lopez's team is studying him and, he's trying to do a different attack that maybe Diego Lopes hasn't seen him do before. I think he was just trying to catch him off guard.
Fair enough. Okay. Thank you for answering that. So I have another question too. You mentioned the grappling of Diego Lopes. I believe you mentioned in your breakdown leading up to the fight that Diego Lopes had the advantage in the grappling department. However, I also believe I remember you saying you still thought it was going to be primarily on the feet, which I think more, most of the fight was on the feet. It was purely a striking exchange, but Diego Lopes very effectively used his grappling after that spinning attack, took advantage of the spin, got on top of Jean Silva and laid in some insane ground and pound with 12-6 elbows and all that stuff. My question is, do you believe that was part of Diego Lopez's game plan to utilize his grappling advantage? Or do you think that was just an opportune thing that he just saw the opening from the spin? How do you think that went down? Yeah,
I think it was an opportune thing. Diego Lopes isn't really, you don't see him wrestle too much for how good his grappling is. He's more of a defensive wrestler. Like when he fought Gavin Tucker shot on him, snagged that front single leg to where he was able to jump triangle, transition to armbar. So you typically don't see, you look at against Alexander Volkanovski, you typically don't see Diego Lopes trying to wrestle. But as an MMA fighter, you get put in situations, sometimes you react. Again, going back to experience, like when I was fighting Charles Rosa, in that 3rd round, like we're banging in there. I threw an overhand right. I was off balance. And then just subconsciously, I dove in for a shot. That wasn't the game plan. That wasn't the right time to do it, but I just happened to do it. And I think the same thing with Diego Lopes in this spot. Gene Silva was coming forward. He went to spin and Diego Lopes just found him in an advantageous spot to get the takedown. I don't think it was a thought like, okay, I'm going to take him down. I think it just happened.
Couple of other things I wanted to ask you about. This is stuff that the commentators pointed out and I saw in other videos as well. So 2 things that Diego Lopes got props for when he was on top of Jean Silva, and I want to hear your thoughts on this as well. So one thing, I think Daniel Cormier said this, one thing that Diego Lopes did was when he was in full mount, he wasn't lower down near the hips. He was actually up higher, which some might say if you're up a little bit too high, it gives the person on bottom an opportunity to escape. But what Daniel Cormier said was that it was smart for him to sit a little higher on Jean Silva because that prevented Jean Silva from bucking him off with his hips because he was above the hips. So that was one thing I want to ask you about, if you think that was an effective and an intentional technique from Diego Lopes. The second thing that he got praised for was the use of the 12-6 elbows, which recently became legal. So he was using the 12-6 elbows, which basically made it really impossible for Jean Silva to stay safe on bottom because he ate so many elbows. His head was totally cut open. So my question to you is, do you also give Diego Lopes credit for both of those techniques? Number one, staying higher when he was in full mount than normal. And number two, with the 12-6 elbows.
Now, here's the thing. Like, I am a mount connoisseur. Mount and half guard are my two favorite positions. I get to work with guys like Jake Shields on these positions, some of the best in the world. Now, there's three styles of mount. There's low mount, there's mid mount, and there's high mount. And I am a low mount player. You cannot sit mid mount. All right. Sitting mid mount essentially means I'm sitting my butt on your hips. Now, although we can land great ground and pound from here because we can posture and punch, you're giving the opposition a chance to buck and throw you off balance. Now, moving to high mount, again, a very advantageous position, but very dangerous because, again, there's a lot of movement in there. And as you saw, John Silva was able to get out when he was in high mount because when you get slippery, you get slidey, you start moving around, it's really hard to hold position against a really good athlete or a guy that's going crazy. Personally, I would have liked to see Lopes sit mid-mount, maybe cross his feet under Silva's butt or grapevine him in there and just ride him out for the whole round to show, hey, look, you know what? I'm the man and this is my position. Not to mention it would have gassed him out so much more. Now there's just being a low mount player. I used to play a high mount because you have triangles, you have arm bars, you have incredible ground and pound. But the problem is once you get moist and once you get sweaty and once you get slippery, it's not, I'm not going to say it's easy. All right. We're not going to say it's easy to get out, but at the level they're fighting, that is the way to get out. I tell you what, if I was fighting Diego Lopes and he mounted me, I would want him to be in high mount. Although I am going to eat those 12-6 elbows, I am going to have a much better chance of getting out. Now in high mount, my arms are a little bit more at risk for arm bar. So, it's like a catch as catch can. You got to take the good with the bad. The good part about high mount is there's more opportunity for submissions, more opportunity for arm locks. The bad part about high mount is it's easier to escape. I can slip out. I can roll out. I can give up position. I can buck. Now the same thing with mid mount. The good thing about mid-mount is I can do a lot of ground and pound. I can sit on them, posture, and do punches. I can hit elbows. I can hit punches. All right. But again, I'm sitting hip line, so I can get bucked off easier. I can be off balance a lot easier. Now you go to low mount. Although I'm not landing as hard of punches, I am smoking guys in there. All right. I can smother guys in there. I can control the way they're looking. I can control their head and I can control their neck. Now, being a professional mount player, and I tell you what, I'm one of the best mount players in Extreme Couture, and I can say that confidently because I have a coach like Jake Shields. Like I said, when I get to low mount, I'm going to sacrifice my power shots to look for side chokes. I'm going to sacrifice my power shots to look for grinding shots. As a mount player, you have to control the head. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a really quick breakdown of mount. We're going to pretend I'm laying on my back right now, and the pillow behind me or the couch behind me is the ground. If I'm looking straight and you're on top of me and we're looking at each other like we are right now, I have the opposition. I have the opportunity to buck left, or I can choose the opportunity to buck right, or I can put my hands on your hips and buck straight up to try to get your hips off me. All right. When you're in low mount, I'm going to control the head and neck. And these are the most important things for a low mount ride. And again, this is me reiterating what Jake Shields, and again, my personal belief, one of the best MMA grapplers of all times. You need to control the head. So what I would do if I was in low mount, I would take like my left arm, go under your neck, put it in the side of the crotch, and I'm going to turn your head one way or the other. All right. If I put your ear to the mat, and again, this is the ground behind me, and I put your ear to the mat, the only way you can go is the way you're looking. If I'm facing this way, I cannot go this way. My body can't twist. My neck cannot twist. So think of a race. All right. And this is the analogy I like to use. If you and I are going to race, we're in the middle of a football field. We're at the 50-yard line. We're facing each other. All right. We're going to race, but you don't know if we're going left or right. I'm going to make that decision on the fly. So we're facing, I'm going to say go, and I'm either going to go left and sprint or I'm going to go right and sprint. Who's probably going to win that race?
Yeah, you're going to win.
I'm going to win. Whether you're faster than me or anything, I'm going to win because I can get that advantage, that quick speed advantage right away. The same thing with mount. If I'm looking straight up at you, I have the opportunity to buck left or buck right. If the top person controls my neck and head and can push it to here, you've just taken the guesswork out of it. All right. I might still be able to buck and get out because being a super athlete, being bigger, being stronger, I might still be able to get out, but there's no more guesswork. All right. If my head is this way, I'm going this way. I'm going to buck and I can only buck that way. So if you are in mount on me and you understand that principle, you already know which way we're going. You're ready to race. Does that make sense?
It does. You know, when you talk about it like this, it reminds me of what DDP said about Hamzat. It's like, dude, he always knew where I was going to be. He was always 1 or 2 steps ahead of me in the game plan. So not maybe this explicitly that he was doing in terms of this particular position you're referencing, but he was doing things to limit DDP's options. So he's like, I know he can only go from A to B here. There's no C or D option. And so I know where he's going to go and I can anticipate it, right? That's probably that's kind of
it's exactly right. And that's the thing with, like, you know, people talking about speed and grappling. It's not speed. All right. We have options in grappling. Here's an analogy I like to use too. Think of you're driving to work and, there's construction. You just don't turn around and go back. You have to find your way out. But again, controlling the head, controlling the neck, you already know the route ahead of time. All right. Yeah. You're dictating the route. You're not letting the defensive guy, the guy on his back, dictate the route. If you're mounted on me and you're punching me like crazy, I'm going to be covering up. I'm going to be bucking left. I'm going to be bucking right. I might slide out. I might not. But if I'm in a low mount, I'm controlling which way your head is. I just took all the guesswork out of it, and we're going to find out who's a better grappler.
Totally makes sense. By the way, we're going to continue this conversation because I also want to talk about Jean Silva and his performance in the second round, which I think not enough people are talking about. I thought he really looked awesome in the second round until he got clipped. We got a bunch of comments, so let me go through these real quick. Tehran says people just fall in love with a lot of these hype trains and they forget about how good the more experienced guy is. And I think that's exactly what happened to Diego Lopes right here. I mean, Diego Lopes lost to Volkanovski, so people seem to have forgotten about him. Lopez Rodriguez, yes, let's go, Tehran. I'm so down. We're going to talk about what's next for all of these guys because the featherweight division is kind of crazy right now. It really is, especially if you think about Aljo in there, and people forget about Aljo, so it's pretty crazy. Now, Barat's bringing up something that I saw this morning, but I saw it on a tweet. I haven't seen this in Full Mount MMA. You said this is posted. Okay, well, I'll have to check it because I didn't see it there in the morning. I saw it on just a random Twitter post. I heard that Fluffy is potentially out of this fight. Homework also says apparently Fluffy is out of the RDR fight. Okay, yeah, I mean, like I said, I've heard this, but I don't think it's been substantiated yet for sure. If this is how Costa gets a title shot, that would be insane. Yeah, dude. I think they should. You know what I think they should do? I think they should just get Hamzat in the mix and have Hamzat fight RDR for the title. That would be sick. I'd love to see that. And I think Hamzat's ready. Fluffy injured, RDR versus Costa. Well, if it's RDR versus Costa, whatever, that's fine. I'd be down to see that too. I'm glad Diego won.
I'm on Full Mount right now, and I'm not seeing it.
Costa asked for 3 rounds and got a no. Apparently, Barat says, okay, well, we'll do some more digging. If that story does come out officially later today, one of us will definitely make a breakdown video about that. That's pretty wild, and we shall see. That's unfortunate, though, because RDR versus Fluffy would have been pretty cool. I would love RDR versus Hamzat. Let's see if Hamzat comes in to save the day. That would be absolutely amazing. Okay, let's go back to this fight. Now, we've talked a lot about Diego Lopes, how incredible he was. And again, this was I know you love banger, slobber knocker fights, and this was that. But this was so much more to me. This was such a well-rounded fight. We got to see every element of it, and all of it was exciting. The ground game was so exciting with the 12-6 elbows and the ground and pound. We saw Jean Silva get taken down again and then get out of it in round 2. So it was just a very well-rounded fight. Lots of a diversity of strikes. But let's talk about Jean Silva in round 2, because I do think he was really feeling himself in round 2. He was getting loose. He was getting limber. He was throwing shots with a lot of zip on them. A lot of people were giving Diego Lopes credit for his incredible chin because a lot of those shots would have put out a lot of people. And then what about those crazy 45-degree angle spinning elbows? Those were so weird and funky, but like he was hitting them and really connecting with a lot of those powerful shots. So Justin, talk about the good things that we did see from Jean Silva and what this might mean for his future in this division.
Well, John Silva, here's the thing. I mean, after getting his ass whooped in the first round, I mean, there was no winning of, nobody can score that round, being mounted, being split open. Let's talk about the toughness and resilience of John Silva. Like to lose a round. And again, I like to go back. Like there's been times to where, you know, I come into a fight, I'm really confident, and then I get my ass whooped in that first round. And it's like, oh shit, you have 2 options. You can fold or you can try to rise to the occasion. And although John Silva got knocked out in the second round, he tried to rise to the occasion. He tried, that's how he got caught. He went for it. He started blitzing in. He realized, oh shit, I'm down in this first round. I need to make a statement. So he started coming back. He started, he started doing a lot of great things. But unfortunately on that blitzing technique, he just happened to get caught in the temple with the elbow, and really nobody's going to survive. So, I mean, this is the thing. Everyone's talking about the fighting nerds and how they're falling off. And I made a video yesterday. I don't know if you'd seen it yet.
We're going to post it today.
Awesome. Yeah. It's like, I made a video about the fighting nerds and everyone's like, oh, they're falling off. And oh my gosh, hype train derailed. It's like, listen, these guys, I broke down all their opponents, but leading up to this fighting nerds being 19-0, I went through the 4 main fighting nerds. We have Kyle Braulio, we have Mauricio Ruffi, Jean Silva, and it was the 4th one.
Ruffi, Pratis.
Pratis.
Yeah.
So Pratis, being 7-0, they're 19-0 combined. But out of those 19 fights, like 4 of them were notable. We had like Jared Cannonier was a notable one. Paul Craig was a notable one, who is retired now, that, the notable names. But I'm going through these lists, and guys, take a look at the video. Most of these guys that got them to 19-0 were guys I had never heard of. Some of these guys had over 10 losses, fighting the nerds, which, hey, don't get me wrong. Building guys is about the sport. When you have a niche like the fighting nerds and where they're coming in with glasses and they're exciting and they're knocking everybody out, the UFC did the right things. Give these guys easier matchups to get these guys hyped behind them. But now these guys are fighting the best in the world, not the number 10 contender, not the fucking number 12 contender. We're talking about top 3 contenders. We're talking about Diego Lopes, who just fought for the belt. We're talking about Ian Gary, who has only 1 decision loss to Shavkat, the only guy. We're talking about Benoit Saint Denis, who has been a killer for a long time. Unfortunately, just hasn't able to be consistent enough, but still a top 10, top 5 guy. We're talking about who's the 4th one that they lost to. I said it in the video yesterday. But
Kyle Borralho.
Yeah, Kyle Braulio. He lost to Ian Gary, right?
Imavov.
Oh, yeah, and then Imavov, who could potentially be next for the fight. So these guys are essentially fighting top 5. They go from fighting guys nobody's ever heard of to top 5 guys. Of course, they're going to take losses. And and you look at Pratis, he's already got one back. He's already back, and he knocked out Jeff Neal, and nobody's ever seen this. So, guys, we got to get off this. These guys are not done. I still have a lot of excitement with these guys. I think these guys are going to go back to the drawing board. They're going to take losses. They're fighting the best fighters in the world, and everybody needs to get off John Silva. He's going to be back. He put on a good performance. He didn't wilt going into the second round. He still went for it. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out.
And on top of that, it's not like it was look, Imavov won much more dominantly against Kyle, in my opinion, than look, okay, fine. Diego Lopes, you could say maybe it was a 10-8 in the first round, but Jean Silva looked great in the second round. It's not like he was totally ineffective against Lopes. I would say quite the opposite. He was winning round 2. Do you agree with me? He was winning round 2 for sure, I think, Jean Silva, and then Diego Lopes caught him.
I'm gonna say for sure, but it was a lot more competitive. It definitely was more competitive. I'd have to rewatch it. I remember it being like a 50-50 split. Silva was landing bigger shots, but Diego Lopes just seemed unfazed the whole time, and without having big reaction. It's, you know what I mean, like.
He did seem unfazed, but those shots were crazy. But I think that's a testament to Diego Lopes. Like, that guy, I don't know. That guy is just different. I got to say something, by the way, too. Diego Lopes with the English now, and he's being fluent, and the way he's a dude, he's like, this guy can be a I don't know where we cross the threshold to superstar, but he can be a big star in the UFC. I mean, he's already a big star, but like, he can be a really big star, I think, now that he's learned English, because he's got such a great personality, and I love the way he carries himself. So anyways, it's incredible. But yeah, coming back to your point, there's no way for people to say fraud check about the fighting nerds and all this stuff. It's so crazy to me. A fight can go any which way at any time. And that's the game. And that's why we love it so much. And on top of that, these guys are having success. As you mentioned, Carlos Pratis came back recently. So yeah, fighting nerds are definitely here to stay. Okay, and now Justin, we got some comments here. Let me read through these, and then we're going to get into some final questions before we got to move on from this topic. We've been talking about it for a very long time. But MGal4 Production says MMA is so much better than boxing. Front kicks to the face, spinning elbows. Dude, You're just preaching to the choir. And we're going to talk about this right in the next topic. It does not even compare. Hey, Justin, do you want to watch a one-armed boxing match?
A 1 hour boxing match? I don't want to watch a 15.
One arm, like where they tie one guy's hands behind their back and see them fight. Is that interesting to you?
Nah, not really. I might tune in just maybe for 2 seconds and realize how stupid it is.
But are you saying how stupid it is? My point is if you think about it, what boxing is basically two guys agreeing to tie their legs up, you know, and not utilize their legs, not utilize elbows, not utilize knees. Like people, obviously boxing fans would be like, why would we want to watch somebody with their hand? No, we want to watch the full fight. Well, as MMA fans, okay, we feel that the full fight is a real fight where you can use all your tools and weapons. And why restrict it to just these bad boys when you got so much power? Look at the spinning elbow. Look at the devastation it causes. Look at knees. Look at front kicks. Look at side kicks, right? We see all these amazing, beautiful techniques that really we can see people like straight up ninjas. It's so much more fun than traditional boxing. I'm talking tabla rasa. I'm talking about to a person who's never been exposed to combat sports. I think 10 out of 10 times they'll say MMA is way more exciting than boxing. But hey, maybe you might call me biased, but I'm biased for a reason. Like I came out with actually being exposed to boxing before MMA. But I've gone the way of MMA. You could call me biased now, but the bias is because I believe, at least in my mind, it's resonating as a better, more complete sport. If you're talking about fighting, obviously, I'm not comparing MMA to tennis or baseball, but boxers call themselves fighters, okay? And it's a sport, it's cool, but like you call them when they start calling themselves fighters, you've lost me. Because if you can take Raul Rosas Jr. No, better example. If you can take Tommy McMillan, who just made it into the UFC, and he can beat Crawford and Canelo both back to back in a street fight, then how can you call them fighters, right? Like they're boxers, amazing. They whoop me, okay? But you get my point. So I think that's the point that MGAL4 Productions and we all are trying to make. Rossi says, very brave. Not sure what you mean. If you're talking about, let me know what you think. Rossi might be new to the channel. Don't recognize the name. What's up, Rossi? Tehran says, dude, Hooker versus Arman. Tehran always knows the inside scoop. I hope this is true. This is going to be such a good fight. Let's go. And that means that it's going to be Ilia versus Gaethje, which I'm also down for. John Silva's hype is still there. Of course it is. Of course it is. John Silva looked awesome. And he's a little bit of a psychopath. And I think as fight fans, like, it's fun. He's got a little bit of the crazy Conor in him. He was laughing and smiling when he was getting bludgeoned with those 12-6 elbows. That's crazy. But, like, we kind of like it as MMA fans. What can I say? Losing to some of the best in the world, I agree. Yeah, exactly. Diego smashing with those elbows. It was insane. Only boxing fights that entertained me was Mike Tyson. Yeah, because you have that crazy flash KO, the knockouts, the things that we all love. Early fights, not Jake Paul. Yo, the only thing I'm going to say is I kind of like seeing Jake Paul because he's just every fight. It's a question and everybody wants him to lose so badly. It's way more interesting to me than Canelo versus Crawford. I'm not a boxing enthusiast though, so don't get mad at me there. It is what it is. Okay. So my opinion, Justin, next for Diego Lopes, people are going to disagree with me on this for sure. But there's only one fight I want to see. Diego Lopes versus Yair Rodriguez. There's beef. There's a history. Yair Rodriguez is still up there in the mix. Like, I want to see that. What do you want to see next for Diego Lopes?
You know, the more I hear about this Yair Rodriguez matchup, I think the more it's good. There's already beef. The presser's going to be lit. You know, I was like, I don't like, man, I almost want to say like, oh, I'd like to see him get a rematch for the title, but no, not yet. You know, I want to see Alexander Volkanovski fight somebody else. And in the meantime, yeah, Yair Rodriguez versus Diego Lopes would be incredible. And then winner of that fight gets a title fight.
I think it's going to, yes, 100%. That'd be great. And maybe Yair wins it and gets a shot. I think it's going to be, what's his name? Lerone Murphy versus Volkanovski. That seems to be the consensus. And I love that fight. But yeah, Diego Lopes, one more fight. This is a grudge match. They can headline. They can headline a UFC, whatever, like a non-numbered event. It would be huge. So yeah, they got to do that in my opinion. And for Jean Silva, do you have anybody that you think would be a good matchup?
Let's take a look at the rankings right here.
Okay, let me get it up here. 1 second. Let's get up the featherweight rankings. All right. Here we go. I wonder where Jean Silva is going to drop to now. Okay. So Jean Silva is right now number 10. Maybe he drops a spot or two. Let's say he's 11 or 12 or something like that. I don't even know if he'll drop a spot. Oh, what about Josh Emmett?
Oh, yeah, that would be a banger. And I tell you what, fighter delight right there. I don't think Brian Ortega, absolutely not Brian Ortega. He looks like shit, can't make weight anymore. But Josh Emmett, that is the fight I want to see. Josh Emmett, power puncher through and through, going to keep this fight on the feet as tough as they come, hard to put away. Josh Emmett versus Gene Silva is the next fight to make.
Okay, hold on. I'm just double checking the record of John Silva MMA. Let me just see. We're just going to take a look at, wow, why is this not coming up? Okay, let me go to Tapology. 1 second. And then we'll just take a quick look at who he's fought thus far. Just want to make sure. 1 second. Okay. Boop. And let's do a screen share of, whoa, what's going on? There we go. Sorry, my computer's like really glitching right now. Okay, so we'll take a look. Yeah, so he beat Bryce Mitchell. He beat Drew Dober. That's a good win. Charles Jourdain. Yeah, dude, that's amazing. Josh Emmett is perfect. Josh Emmett is perfect. He's above him in the rankings. Power punchers. I hate all the ads on Tapology. That would be unbelievable. Let's make it happen. Let's see what goes down. All right, moving on. We're going to talk about Canelo versus Crawford. We got one other topic since we're on featherweights that we're going to go to next one. We got a couple of comments that just came in. Silva has real talent. He'll be back 100%. What happens to Evloev? Okay, so we're going to talk about that in a second when we get to the Aljo conversation and everything. Just curious, do you guys watch prelims or only main cards? I usually only watch the main cards. So you can call me a whatever, casual, this and that. But like, I don't know. I just watch what I gravitate towards. Now, occasionally I watch the prelims if there's particular fights or fighters that I really want to see. But I'm not one of these super hardcores that watch from the early prelims all the way through. That's also partially dictated by my schedule. I'm usually always working Saturdays during the daytime until like about 2, 3, 4, something like that. And then I sit down and do the whole thing. Wester says, sorry, I'm late. All good. Welcome back. Emmett versus, it's a done deal. Josh Emmett already has another fight. Dang it. I thought that was so brilliant. Would John Silva beat Volk? You think so? I don't think so. What do you think, Justin?
No, what Volk just did to Lopes, I mean, think about what he did to Lopes for 5 rounds. I mean, that fight, in my opinion, was not even close. And I think he'd do the same thing to Gene Silva.
I mean, there's always a chance. And
oh yeah, of course. When you got an explosive, dynamic striker, of course he could land one of those spinning shots, one of those explosive shots. But I think if they fight 100 times, he's not going to beat him more than maybe 25% of the time.
Yeah, I that's kind of my general feeling. I mean, hey, I would I like to see it. Yeah, let me tell you one thing. After this fight, I'm a big Jean Silva fan. Huge. I can't wait to see his next fight. On top of that, if he learned English, it would be a dream come true because that guy's trash talk is probably insane. He's got to learn English. It would be lit to see the true like craziness of his mind on full display. I think it'd be unbelievable. But yeah, huge fan. I don't think he would beat Volk. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyways, I can't wait to see him come back. If it's not Josh Emmett, then whoever it is, I'll be tuning in. But this takes us to another topic. Aljo. People are forgetting about Aljo. He's in the 145 division. Everybody's talking about what happens next with Evloev. What about Aljo? Aljo just beat Brian Ortega. So let's go back to the rankings, Justin. I want to talk about him and figure out what to do with this crazy division, the 145 division, which just seems crazy right now, right? We got Lerone Murphy. Lerone Murphy at number 4. He's probably going to get the title shot. Diego Lopes and Yair Rodriguez are going to match up. I mean, who do we put Aljo against next? I mean, is Evloev going to sit out while the title goes down? Could we have a rematch of Evloev versus Sterling? Or would you say Aljo? And Aljo's calling for a title shot. Or do we do Aljo versus Arnold Allen? What's going on?
Arnold Allen, there's no question. Arnold Allen, I think he's a superstar. I think he's incredible, and he's just been out of the news lately. Nobody's talking about him. Like, why isn't anybody talking about Arnold Allen? Like, I'm gonna look him up right now. I want to talk about his record right now. Like, Arnold Allen is a beast, and he's been cross training. He did a grappling match as of recently. It's this guy's constantly trying to get better, but nobody's talking about him. Nobody's talking about him into the almighty Arnold Allen. Like, let's take a look at this. I mean, we got a guy, 11-2 in the UFC, coming off a decision win against Giga Tadisky. He loses to Evloev, loses to Max Holloway. Like, why isn't anybody talking about this guy? He hasn't fought since July of 2024. In his last 2 losses, Max Holloway and Evloev. Like, this guy needs to get in the mix. I think Aljamain Sterling versus Arnold Allen should be the next fight.
That'd be a cool fight. I'm down for that. And then what about Evloev? What do we do with him in the meantime? Does he just wait? Is he going to be the next title contender after Lerone Murphy?
Not a huge fan of Evloev. I know he's 9-0 in the UFC. He's 19-0 overall. But this guy doesn't sell me. Like, you know what I mean? Like when I see his name, I don't get excited about it. You know, I look at it, decision win, decision win, decision win, decision win, decision win, split decision win, decision win. This guy couldn't finish off a 40-year-old woman that before she hits menopause. Like, this guy is a decision machine. There's absolutely nothing that excites me about him. Yes, he's 19-0, but every fight he wins, he has 3 wins by knockout out of 19 wins. He has 4 submissions, none of them being in the UFC, 12 wins by decision. Nothing about this guy is exciting.
I get that. I understand where you're coming from. I think a lot of fans agree with you. I do think, though, his record is just so good. It's kind of crazy if they don't give him a title shot soon, but I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. I would be down to see a rematch of Aljo versus Evloev. I know maybe people aren't so excited for that, but like, I'd like to see that. I think Aljo nearly won that fight, and I think he could get the job done a second time. That would be dope. This is one, and yeah, I like that fight. And I'd love for Aljamain Sterling to get in there and beat this guy because, again, I mean, this guy has no marketability. He probably doesn't speak English. All his fights are decisions. Like, this is a guy that I don't care to watch. This is a guy I don't care to study. I'm sure he's a nice guy. And again, don't take my trash talk as the guy's a piece of shit or anything. I'm not into his style. And again, we have decision win, decision win, decision win. Decision win, decision win, split decision win, decision win. And he's even going to decision with guys I've never even heard of, you know, and that's my biggest problem. You know, you have Sang Woo Chi goes decision. We have Barzola decision, Mike Grundy decision, Nick Lentz. I've heard of Nick Lentz decision, Dawoodi decision, Dan Ige, obviously teammate of mine, 2022 decision. But I don't know, man. There's just nothing exciting about this guy. Maybe give Diego Lopes a rematch at some point. Hopefully Diego Lopes can run and starts this guy. It was a performance. It's the only, out of all his 9 fights in the UFC, he's gotten 1 performance bonus. And I'm sure the reason it was a performance bonus is because Diego Lopes had nothing to do with Evloev's style. So I think, Justin, you're going to like this comment. Somebody said Evloev equals Bilal.
And you know what? I'll be honest. I even think Bilal puts more exciting fights together than Evloev, to be honest.
Well, there you go. And we got, by the way, somebody new. I did showcase one of your comments earlier, but Real Eyes Realize Real Lies, I believe, is a new listener. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining. We hope you're enjoying it. Arnold Allen, most underrated fighter in the UFC. Brad says, I really enjoyed Aljo versus Evloev fight for some reason. I actually didn't mind it. I mean, I didn't think, I think part of it is because I wanted to see Aljo come out on top and get another title shot, and that was what made it exciting to me. What happened to Brian Battle? Well, he's now, I think he did that dirty boxing match. I think he won.
He's working Misfits.
Oh, okay. And then
no, not Misfits. Dirty Boxing.
Like,
yeah, Dirty Boxing
with Mike Perry. And then MGAL4 Productions wants you versus Jean Silva, and there we go. Okay, now we get to the big news. We're an MMA show, so this is not our big news. We saved this for topic number 3, not number 1. I know everybody, including Ariel, is all about Canelo versus Crawford today. Let's talk about it a little bit. Okay, I did end up staying up and watching it. I just couldn't resist. I felt like so many people around the planet were tuning in. Justin, let me turn over to you for it. Did you watch the fight in full?
No, I didn't even watch highlights of it.
Okay, let me give you guys my thoughts on it as an MMA fan. So if you're a boxing fan and you take offense to this, just know I'm not a boxing guy. So this is just my 2 cents outside of boxing. But if you look at this fight, just overall, 12 rounds, crazy. So like boxing is so many rounds compared to Diego Lopes, for example, versus Jean Silva. I don't even understand how anybody could say that Canelo versus Crawford was anywhere on the level of the same level of excitement as Diego Lopes versus Jean Silva. Now, one of the things that I say often is what makes a great fight is the stakes. So I understand the stakes. I know that it was really the best boxer of our era on the line right here. And whoever won would be crowned like the real king of these, like, whatever. I know they're like moving around in divisions. I know Crawford moved up to fight Canelo, whatever, but like it was a big deal. And now they're saying Crawford has gone down as one of the greatest boxers of all time because of this victory over Canelo, etc. So I get that, big stakes. But again, when you look at it play by play, round by round, the diversity of the strikes that we saw in John Silva versus Diego Lopes, spinning elbows, knockouts, 12-6 elbows, like the body shots, the 45-degree elbows that John Silva was throwing, like the crazy front teep to the face. Like, it's crazy versus just pop, 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 punches. Cool. Blocking a lot of it. Nice little body shots. No knockout. 12 rounds. Goes to decision. I just don't even get it. I don't even understand it. That being said, I didn't hate it. Like, I watched it. I thought it was okay. I was into it. I'm not like a huge boxing enthusiast, so I don't fully understand the true scope of the stakes and whatnot, but it was all right. But anyways, that's my 2 cents. We don't need to dive too deep into it. I get it that Justin didn't watch it at all. So like, well, whatever, but that's my 2 cents. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts in the comments if you did watch it. But okay. So MGal4 Production says, I definitely can appreciate the Crawford fight because of the sweet science, but that main event for Noche was just chaos. Yeah, 100%. Boxing is more about cardio and defense. MMA is about just, okay, wait a minute. I wouldn't say, I think that's unfair to MMA fighters in a way, because like I wouldn't say it's just, it's not, I don't think it's just about entertainment. In fact, I think MMA is, I don't know how you quantify, but like, I think MMA is more about skill, because you have to learn so many different types of techniques, and there's so many tools in the tool set. Like, it's crazy. I would not call, I mean, what do you think, Justin? What's your take on this as a professional fighter?
So here's the thing. And that's why like people say wrestling is the hardest sport. MMA is so much harder than boxing. There's a reason that we only fight for, 3 rounds, 3 5s or 5 3s, 25 minutes at the most, because, the anaerobic that goes into it compared to the aerobic is just so much more. And there's just so many more tools. You can't even turn your back to your opponent in boxing. You know what I mean? Like MMA, you got to be worried about kicks, knees, elbows, 12-6 elbows. You got to be worried about spinning attacks. You got to be worried about takedowns. And if you do get taken down, you got to worry about getting up. There's just so many more moving pieces in MMA compared to boxing. I mean, don't get me wrong. High-level boxers are phenomenal. They have great footwork. They have great punching power. They have great speed. They have great endurance. But I mean, if I was to fight a boxer in the street, I'm going to kick him in the leg twice, and all that footwork's out the window. You know what I mean? Like, you can't. That's why stances are different. In boxing, you can blade a little bit more in boxing because I can turn my feet to the side because I'm not worried about getting kicked in the leg. I'm not worried about being kicked in the calf. The stances are different because your defense is different. And that's why people are like, oh, well, MMA fighters don't have as good of footwork as boxers. Well, no shit, because boxers don't have to worry about getting kicked in the leg. Boxers don't have to worry about getting kicked in the calf. You know what I mean? That's like, I used to laugh. Like, I used to train at a boxing gym in Michigan. You guys may have heard of it. One of the best in the world, Kronk and Butzel. And every single time, because I was the white guy coming in to the African-American gym, and where everyone was really respectful. But every single round they had, hey, man, you better not kick me in the leg. And it's like, okay, man, I won't. Because I kick them in the leg, they're going to fuck me up. Because right. From a straight boxing standpoint, I can't hang with these guys. But, hey, you incorporate takedowns, you incorporate kicks, I'm the baddest guy in the gym.
Right on. All right. Well, there it is. Yeah. So that's our little comparison of the main event there versus the main event of Noche. But let's move on to this. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about in terms of Ilia Topuria, a couple of headlines. First of all, he's claiming that the UFC has not discussed the next opponent. But then we hear from Tehran, right, which this has been the rumor for a while. It's going to be Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker. Okay. Well, obviously, if it's Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker, there's 2 opponents, but really 1. It's got to be Justin Gaethje. Am I right? Like, so Justin, first of all, do you believe Ilia when he says, hey, the UFC hasn't even discussed my next opponent? Do you believe him, or do you think he's saying this to take the heat off of him when he said, I'm not going to fight, or if they make me fight Arman, I'll vacate? What do you think?
I mean, there's no way they haven't talked about him. This guy's right now one of the most popular guys that's on fire right now, becoming a 2-division champion. Like, you think the UFC just put him on the shelf, like, all right, we'll talk about your opponent in 6 months. No, they're a business and they want to make money. And right now they got to strike while the iron's hot. I think Justin Gaethje and Ilia is the only thing that makes sense.
I love that fight. I hope they make that fight. That's so dope. And I know people are going to whine and complain and say different things, but it's going to be great. And even the people that are complaining, once that fight is made and once it's about to go down, you're going to be tuning in, ready to go, like, so excited, popcorn in hand, like, it's going to be lit. Okay, there's another thing that I want to talk about in terms of Ilia Topuria, and this is driving me bonkers. Him and Terrence Crawford keep going back and forth. Ilia's trying to get a boxing match against Terrence Crawford. Now, one thing I'll give props to Ilia for is he said, it's in Spanish, so I didn't pull up the clip, but in Spanish, he's like, these boxers, they try and act tough. They try and talk smack to us and say how terrible it would be. And, Terrence Crawford laughs when Dana White says, yeah, I really hope we don't ever make that fight with Terrence Crawford and Ilia, insinuating that, yeah, it'd be a shutout for Terrence Crawford. It's like, yeah, no kidding. But one thing that Ilia, because, you're going against the best boxer in the world in his prime, and you're not a boxer. What do you think's going to happen? It's not, why are we even trying to do this? But Ilia, one thing that I'll give him credit for is in Spanish, he goes, these boxers, they talk tough, they say all this, but like, we go over there all the time. We take them on. We go in for the challenge. They never go the other way.
One time.
Yeah, you mentioned that one time boxer, right? Tony something.
Yeah. James Toney fought Randy Couture and he got submitted in the first round. He didn't even get a punch thrown. Randy dove in for a low single, took him down, submitted him like 2 minutes. I was very glad and fortunate to be there live. But hats off to James Toney, guys. I'm not talking shit about James Toney. James Toney, world champion, heavyweight boxer, world known. And he had the big enough balls to get in there, train for an MMA fight, and take on the 5-time UFC champion. This is not me talking shit. James Toney is a legend. And just to even step up, and again, that's just like Ilia Topuria coming over into boxing, or Conor McGregor fighting Floyd Mayweather. Like, that's the kind of balls James Toney had, but he's the only one to do it, and it didn't go well for him.
Here's the thing. It bothers me, though, that this becomes a topic of discussion and that Ilia is trying to do this for a number of reasons. Now, let me give a caveat, okay? So I'm going to vent for a second. Number one, I get that Ilia or any fighter is out there trying to maximize their earning potential. If you can get somewhere in the realm of like 50 million or 100 million, I of course understand that. But Ilia's got to know, obviously, we all know, this is not fighting Floyd Mayweather after he's like over the hill and kind of retired. This is fighting somebody in their prime. You're going to get beaten. It's just a foregone conclusion. You're going to get smoked probably. So you're doing it for the payday. And like I said, I can kind of understand the payday, but it's not real, number one. Number two, okay? And I get that this is an MMA fan's like perspective, but I feel like it cheapens the sport. Now, I understand why he wants to do it because the potential incentive in terms of the payout and whatever, but it keeps making people think in the public eye where they don't pay attention to fighting like we do and they're not into the MMA scene. I really feel like it keeps pushing this narrative that MMA fighters are just looking up at boxers and being like, I really wish I could just be a boxer. And then they're crossing. And that's why we see the crossovers. Like, remember Floyd Mayweather says, man, a lot of these MMA guys, they just wanted to be boxers, but they couldn't cut it. So they went to MMA. That's what it is. They're like not real fighters. They couldn't hack it in boxing. And I think with that narrative has been obviously shattered and destroyed, but that's the thing that bothers me about these fighters wanting to go over. What I'd love to see instead for Ilia, stop trying to chase that. Like, just do your thing in MMA, but instead, like, call out the fight. Like, he'll never do it, right? I mean, let's be real. Crawford, Canelo, these guys would never, ever step in there because they would get embarrassed, and I don't think they would be down to do that. But that's what I would play. I would play that angle. Like, build your legacy. The UFC is rising. You're going to get, I imagine, massive paydays, maybe not like 50 million or 100 million, but like massive paydays. And like, call these guys out and say, you're weak. You would never, ever step into the MMA ring. I'm down to go box with you anytime. Call me up. Let's do it. I'll even do a spar with you. But would you ever, even once, even have a heavy sparring session with me? Indicate you never would. Like, I want MMA fighters to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It won't happen. Even when professional boxers come to Extreme Couture and they go to sparring, they say, hey, I'm only boxing. And then they expect you to only box back.
Really?
Yeah, that's a real thing. It's been happening since I've been here.
But you guys always oblige. You guys say, hey, no problem. You got to do, sometimes you be like, look, that's not how we do it. This is kickboxing.
It's person to person. I usually oblige. Now, if they like, I've had situations to where guys, hey, I'm just boxing and he's fucking me up, catching angles, making me look stupid. I'm like, hey, bro, like if you want to do that, we can fight for real. Because you're not going to make me look stupid in my home. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, hey, bro, I'll start throwing kicks. And I don't give a fuck because what are you going to do? You're going to beat me up? Right. No, you're going to fucking lose. You fucking, hey, work with me. I'm working with you. Yeah. Work with me too. You want to make me look stupid in front of my teammates? I'm going to fuck you up. And then they usually get it. Actually, not usually. They always get it. And then, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Blah, blah, blah. Hey, cool, man. Yeah, you're making me. Hey, man, you look great. But if I put my arsenal together, I'm going to fuck you up. and I've been very fortunate. It's only happened 2 or 3 times to where I fucked the guy up. Ooh. And this one time, I was fucking this guy up so bad. He was keeled over on the fence, and I'm wailing. His girlfriend runs up, please stop. I was like, hell no, I'm not stopping. Fuck you. We got another minute left, bitch. And he's and then he fell and he takes a knee, and then I just got on top of him and started grounding upon him. Like, hey, bro, like, yeah, dude, it's happened a couple times. You get these boxers that come in that are so arrogant and they're this and they're that. And it's like, all right, cool, bro. Like you want to do, he's doing his thing because his girlfriend was there. And me being the instructor of the class, I did feel like a little bit like an asshole for about, I don't know, a half a second. And then I realized that this guy's coming in to try to embarrass me in front of all my students. And then I realized, yep, this is an MMA class and you're getting fucked up.
See, these are the types of stories that I love to hear because at the end of the day, this is real. This is reality. If push comes to shove and a boxer tries to take on an MMA guy, you can talk all that smack. You can do what you want. You can keep it straight to boxing and maybe light up an MMA guy, obviously, if you're a really seasoned boxer. But when it comes down to a real fight where anything goes, it's lights out. For the MMA fighter is going to smoke the boxer every time. And this is the thing. This is my problem with all these guys going over. It cheapens the sport of MMA. It has people thinking about things backwards because the MMA guys are going over and they're losing to boxers. So people think boxing is a superior form of martial arts to like real martial arts, to real mixed martial arts. So anyways, that's why I'm just tired of it. I wish Ilia wouldn't even go into this. But again, he's doing his thing. He's living his dreams. That's just how I feel about it because I feel like almost territorial, if you will, in terms of MMA in the world of combat sports. All right, let me go through a couple of comments. Ilia ain't Connor. He's not getting a boxing match. I hope not. I mean, I know I want him to do whatever he wants to do in life, but from the perspective of an MMA fan, I hope not. Okay, Bharat says, to be fair, MMA fighters train striking well. Boxers don't train anything else than striking. So Ilia mentioning that MMA fighters going to boxing while boxers don't come to MMA is understandable. Yeah, but not really. Yeah, they train striking, but it's again, it would be like a tennis player going to ping pong. You're training swinging. You're training swinging a paddle and hitting a ball, but it's in a completely different context with, as Justin mentioned, different moves. Like you don't bob and weave when you train Muay Thai or train kickboxing because that can lead you vulnerable to different attacks with the knees and kicks and stuff like that. So it's a completely different type of striking with all sorts of different defenses and things like that. So I do think it's the reason why they don't is because there's too much of a gap for them to cross in their minds anyways, right? Where it makes it just way too dangerous. The truth is they're not going to be able to hang. Even if you have them train for like several years, I don't think they could hang. But let's see what happens. I'd be curious to see what happens as MMA continues to grow with this Paramount deal because, dude, we don't know, man. Everybody thinks MMA, the pay is just going to stay as is. It's been rising. It's going to continue to rise. There will come a point, I hope, where the MMA fighters at the top of the game are going to be making more than boxers. I hope that happens. And I believe it can. Then we're going to see the real deal. Then when boxers want a payday, maybe they're just going to suck it up and say, fine, I'll go out there. I'll get embarrassed. I'll get embarrassed because I won't make this in boxing. Then we'll really get to see what's what when that day comes. Western says, I love how Huzaifa won't.
That's his personality, man. Huzaifa doesn't even swear off stream hardly.
I mean, I do.
He does, but not. But I mean,
yeah, I try to do it sparingly here and there to emphasize certain things. Realize, real lies. Whoa, what the heck? Different sports. Yeah, they're different sports. 100%. Okay, let's get into our final topic. This is a huge story, and I feel like it's flying under the radar. Did you know that Gable Steveson fought in the LFA over the weekend?
Yeah, and you know who he fought? He fought Fusion Zone.
Who?
Peterson. the Fusion
Wait,
champion.
That's who he fought?
Yes.
Oh, okay, because I have the clip pulled up here. I didn't recognize him. Wait. Hold
it's a guy
on.
that we've commentated before.
No.
Yeah, it's Peterson, man.
Wait. Let's watch this. I got the fight queued up. Check this out, guys. First of all, Gable Steveson. So we've commentated, I guess, for his opponent before, which is crazy. But dude, look at this. This could be the future of MMA right here. Look at this guy, heavyweight. Check it out.
Gilbert Melendez. Holy smokes! Here we go.
I'm just gonna mute it so we can kind of commentate over it. Oh my God! There he is. I can't believe it. Braden,
well, like, who's this guy's manager to be like, oh, I'm going to fight Gable Steveson? Like, what?
Dude, this guy is the Fusion champ. He's still the Fusion champ, right?
Yes.
Oh my God. So we commentated for this guy. This guy's so nice. He's awesome. I can't believe.
Beat Chase Molina?
Yes.
Yeah, he's the cop.
Yeah, he's a cop. So he beat Chase Molina, who's so dangerous. And what happened was he lost. No, remember he lost though in Fusion after that to the guy who you co-commentated with,
Wayne 10.
Yeah, he lost to Wayne 10. I'm almost positive. I'm gonna pull up his record really quickly. Braden Peterson, MMA. Yeah, Blood Axe, and he won. Okay, so here I'm going to his record. He beat Chase Molina. Then he lost to Wayne 10, Wayne Roberts. Then he had another fight in Fusion Fight League against Chris Thompson, and he won that one. Oh, wow. He got a KO in round 1 in 14 seconds. Oh, my God. And then he fought Gable Steveson. Dude, what a legend, though. He's going to be cemented in MMA history. Okay, anyways, I did not know that. So we know this guy. He's super awesome guy, super cool guy.
Nice guy.
Major props to him for taking this fight because, I mean, I can't even believe he did this. But anyways, let's watch. Holy smokes, Braden Peterson, what a G.
Look at Gable Steveson, though. Has his hands up. Like,
oh, Braden Peterson with the knee, and he threw a nice little calf kick at the beginning.
He knows he's going to shoot. He knows he's going to shoot.
Nice body kick. He's still throwing kicks, even though he knows the shot is coming. It's too fast. Dude,
he's one of the best wrestlers in the history of ever. Like, this guy is going to be a serious problem for guys in the heavyweight division.
Let's watch that shot one more time. Justin, like when we see the shot, tell us, like, how does this compare to most wrestlers? Because that looked crazy fast to me, especially for
it's called a snatch single. Very, very basic technique, but you don't see a lot of guys. So essentially what you do is you reach in, you grab behind the knee, and you pull their base out, and they fall down just like that. And Gable Steveson, with how much experience he has, how big he is, how strong he is, obviously made it look easy. There's another guy. There's one of my guys that you're going to be commentating here in the next couple months. His name's Elijah Harris. That's his best technique, and he hits it on everyone. He's a 125 pounder. He might be fighting 135, or it's either 125 or 135 for us, but that's his best technique, and Gable Steveson does it better than anybody in the world.
Dude, look at him pinning the arm right here. Oh my God, I feel
he's going for that key lock submission. Is this what he gets? Wow.
No, he won by ground and pound strikes, I believe. I don't think he got a submission. Wait, this is crazy. And he's just shoving his elbow into his face. Oh, God. Poor Braden, dude.
I wonder why Braden took this fight.
Maybe he got paid really well. I don't know. Dude, look at that. Oh, the forearms.
He didn't get paid more than $1,500.
Oh, really? Shoot. I mean, he does. Look, that's ballsy, and he's gonna go down in history as being like the first professional fight of. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Power.
What? His striking is amazing. I mean, his ground and pound at least. What?
I mean, dude, this guy. Like, you have to understand, this guy's a serious athlete.
Oh my God!
You know, when I talk about those serious athletes that need to come over from football and this and that.
Yes.
Gable Steveson is that guy. This guy could be a professional football player. He's an Olympic level wrestler. He's a national champion wrestler, I believe, out of Minnesota. Like, this guy is that superstar athlete transitioning to MMA, and I can't wait to see how his career goes.
I mean, you say Olympic level. He's an Olympic gold medalist. But, dude, let's compare the striking. I mean, again, we didn't see a lot, but that ground and pound compared to some of the striking that you've seen from Bo Nickel, for example. How did the two compare? Is Gable Steveson on a whole nother level, in your opinion?
Hard to say because it's hard to say because of the level of competition. You know, no offense to Peterson. You know, he's not a UFC caliber athlete. Obviously, Stevenson can get in there and do some things and not really worry too much about it. When you have Bo Nickel on the hand fighting someone like RDR, like, it's a lot harder to showcase your striking against such a high level fighter.
Of course, fair enough. No, 100%. But man, it just looked like the amount of power he was putting behind those punches. It looks like he's been training striking for a very long time. Maybe he has. I mean, maybe he has. Maybe he started training striking back in the day and we just weren't privy to it. But man, this is so exciting. How excited are you to see this guy?
I just finally getting a real athlete to transition over and somebody with the mental fortitude. And you know what? Gable Steveson, had a bad loss this year in the NCAA finals. He got upset in the finals. So I think he's going to use that as fuel and motivation. And I see him becoming the next UFC champion. You have Brett B saying that he's too short for the division. You guys know that Daniel Cormier fought in the heavyweight division. And
he's like 5'10", right?
Yeah, I don't think he's too short for the division. I think that with how powerful and athletic he is, that he's going to go in there. And if he gets the right coaching and he focuses on the right things, remember, the biggest mistake he can make is transitioning to trying to become a striker. He is a wrestler that needs to use his striking to wrestle, not a Bo Nickel that's like, oh, well, I'm a great wrestler, so I'm going to become a striker. I've done it. Gray Maynard's done it. Guys, just you fall in love with striking, especially after you get a big knockout. But if Gable Steveson can focus on his striking to make his wrestling better, he's going to be a force to reckon with.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Tehran says Gable's gonna be something in the sport of MMA. Hopefully makes it to the UFC. Not hopefully, dude. It's a foregone. He could go tomorrow if he wants.
He'll probably be in the UFC by the time he's 3-0.
He doesn't. He told Ariel on a show today, like he's not in a rush. He wants to take his time and do his thing. But this was a pro fight. I'm pretty sure this was a pro fight.
It was a pro fight.
Yeah. So he skipped the amateur scene. He went straight to pro. And you're probably right. Maybe after 3, 4, 5 wins, he's going to transition over.
Dude, I'll be honest. What's his name? I'm trying to think. He was the defensive end for Greg Hardy. I think he got to the UFC after 2 fights.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Dude, this is so cool. I can't wait. This is going to be really big. And especially the heavyweight division needs this. They need somebody in there, big, massive, that can really get people interested and excited again about the heavyweight division after the whole debacle with John Jones and Tom Aspinall. So this is very exciting. Huge news for MMA fans. And that's all we got for you, everybody, for today's show. Real quick, Tehran says Gable is 6'2". Dude, that's not too short for the division.
Oh, yeah, he's dead. Yeah,
he just looks probably short, I think is what you're maybe saying, because he's stocky. But
I'm going to look it up right now.
UFC heavyweight needs anyone they can get. Western says wrestle to strike strategy, 100%. Western says thanks, boys. And he's a Midwest guy from Minnesota. Yeah, I spent a year living in Minneapolis. It's super cool. Hardy used to. Oh, okay. Well, that's it. All right. So that's all we got for you guys today. Justin, you're looking
6'1".
Okay, 6'1". Still, that's fine. Taller than 3 inches on Daniel Cormier. So I think he'll be good to go. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. As always, we really, really appreciate the support. Honestly, we appreciate the comments throughout. It really makes the show what it is. So all of you guys who are regulars, Tehran, Western, Brett B, I feel like you've been showing up a lot lately. Obviously, MGAL4 Productions, Barat, Western, the whole crew. Thank you all so much for joining. We'll be back Friday, same time, 1:30 p.m. PST. All right. Thank you, everybody. See you in the next episode. Take it easy.